pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call?
Yep, roll call. Reddick.
Here.
Markowski? Marowski. Here. Montgomery?
Here.
McLeod?
Here?
Stokes?
Here.
Vogel?
Here.
All right.
Cletus is on vacation.
Did anyone have a chance to review the September minutes or have a motion for approval of those minutes or any changes?
I'll move the approval of September 17th minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
No public comment, no public hearing today. CIP review and recommendation to the City Commission on the 2026 to 2032 capital improvement plan.
So before we start that, Mr. Vogel asked if we could go over what projects we funded last year and where they're at. That's probably wasn't picking me up. And so here is our list from last year. You can see it on the screen. I did not print one for you guys. So the first thing was new tasers. They have been purchased. I think they're using them. I think they've done their training on them. The library carpet floor, it didn't make the budget. So we did not do any improvements for the library carpet last year, or this fiscal year. The hangar, asphalt, it's in the budget, it just hasn't been completed yet. Fire engine 4, replace the fire engine. We have ordered it. It takes an insane amount of time to build a fire truck, but we also received a grant for it, or not really a grant, but some legislative funds for it. So we didn't have to spend the significant amount of money that was budgeted. So that's wonderful, but it won't be here for like a year and a half or something like that. It's a long process. North End Park Pavilion, which is the new pavilion for the disc golf course. It's about, I would say, half done. I think they were siding it today or yesterday. Probably not today because it was raining, but I think yesterday they were working on the siding. Outdoor seating for downtown. We did buy some more seating. I think we are probably done buying seating for downtown unless Cottage and Pizza wants one, because some of our restaurants that had it decided they didn't want it next. So we'll see how numbers work out, but I think we're pretty close to being done buying all that we need. Security camera system upgrade. It's in the process. Some of them have been upgraded, some of it has not. We have a lot of cameras. We have 180 cameras, so it's obviously a lot of time commitment for our IT. Just city-owned cameras. The sidewalk program, we put in the new sidewalks that we paid for were in front of, over by St. Mary's School. We try to, when we do sidewalks, we try to target the new ones to be at least around schools and until we get all of that kind of area done. So 2 years ago we did around Eastwood because they were starting back up again, and then St. Mary's asked for some sidewalks in their area for some of their walkers or kids getting dropped off to make it safer. So we added around St. Mary's, and then we just do repairs. I don't know where all the repairs are. They just find places that are rough and repair them. Mitchell Creek Stairs, we budgeted for it, but we didn't do that. We put it out to bid and it came in over our bid or over what we thought, and then none of us can decide or agree upon what we should do. So we're sitting on that for now. Clay Cliffs, it will not be done this year, but we applied for a grant with the DNR and they awarded us that grant, and so, it'll probably be next year that we build it. But when you do grants, you have to show it in your budget in order to prove to the state or whoever you're applying for the grant that you're being fiscally responsible and it's in a plan. So that happens a lot with anything that's grant related. The pool redevelopment, new design for community pool and park entrance. That was another one that was put in for a grant opportunity. We did not receive that grant, so that project hasn't moved forward. Motor pool. Everything for motor pool, I believe we did, yes. The airport tractor actually didn't get budgeted, but I think it caught on fire or something, so we had to do something. Something about with the airport tractor had to be done.
You scroll down a little bit.
Oh, sorry. As far as the DDA fund, the paving of 200 North Michigan Avenue, which is the farmer's market lot and E&M Hair area, that project did not get done. We took the money for that and used it to pave the theater parking lot, which we bought as part of the theater development, and which that parking lot was in much worse shape than this project. And so this project is now on this year's CIP to be worked on. So that's why it was on last year's and this year's, because we used it for a different project. Local streets, Chestnut, Sanborn, and Mitchell Creek Court are all done. Monroe is scheduled for this year. And Marion, I believe, is done. That one I'm not 100%. Yeah, Marion, I thought we got it done. Major street financing or CIPs, Baldwin Street lighting. So that project we estimate to come in around $310,000 to put the nice lights on Baldwin Street up to 4th. So we were just setting aside money in the CIP to finance it over multiple years. So it's not done, but we're trying to build up the funds to do it.
I appreciate that.
This is the first year of accrual, I think, right?
This is the first year it made the CIP, yes. Mill and Fill, Darwin, and that was done. Bjornson, we have not done. I think we're holding off on that because of the housing development going in to see and wait until that project is completed and damaged before we assess how we're gonna do it. Everything at the wastewater treatment plant for the wastewater fund was funded through some bonds work, so all of that has been funded. It has not, they just started doing it, and it's gonna be a probably good year to year and a half, maybe longer project. So it's all listed and funded, but it's not done. And then the water fund, the Bjornson water main, that went with the paving project, so that won't be done. And then the State Street water main, we actually haven't done it. We're gonna be doing it this year or this summer sometime. We got a grant for part of it, and then this wouldn't have covered it. So that was just setting aside money to work towards getting it. But with that grant, we should be able to do it this summer. And then the lead service line replacement, we're not done completely with them in the city. I don't know how many are left, but it's not very many, so that's just something that continues to roll and we continue to work on. So for the most part, we completed a pretty pretty significant amount of the CIPs from last year. Any questions before I move
Well, I have
on?
a comment.
Yeah,
I would just like to say, after living here in Big Rapids for 30 years, I am just so happy to have a sidewalk on 4th Street all the way from Maple to Pure Marquette. And it's very nice, and I see a lot of people traveling that, and it's,
that's a good location for a sidewalk.
I kind of had a question.
Sure.
So didn't we target that area by like the Hanchett property and stuff by the Baldwin Street Bridge? Was that targeted as like an area that we wanted to like a lot of changes gonna happen there?
So in our, that area didn't get specifically addressed in our master plan. Some of that area was, we put as like a mixed use neighborhood. But as far as like in our CIP,
Is that where you're talking about putting like lighting? That
So-
big lighting thing?
yeah, it would be along Baldwin Street Bridge and then go up to Third,
going up the east side to Third.
up to the
It
east
seems like
side.
if we're expecting change in that area, or we're expecting to do stuff because of all this factories and stuff. That's interesting that we would hold on to Jordanson because of the work being done, but we don't really have anything in plan yet. So I guess that's kind of
Yeah, I mean, we had our engineers do like a preliminary workup of what the cost of putting the lights in on the bridge would be and up the hill. And that's where we based how much money we're gonna put away. It's gonna be, so this is last year was the first year that we put it in the CIP, I believe. And then, this year's CIP, I think we only recommended 50,000 going in it. And so I think the total cost came to around 310, and that was 2 years ago, so I'm sure it's higher.
wow. Yeah.
So,
Is there infrastructure there? There's existing lights, right? We're making pretty lights. We're mimicking Maple Street. So this is primarily the cost of just the lights themselves and the installation?
those lights aren't cheap.
Clearly they're not.
I do think there has to be, cause are the lights on there now? I don't know where
They
they're,
go right to the edge of the bridge on the east side. There's
Oh.
lighting, they just don't go up the hill.
Oh, there's none up the hill right now.
yeah, so it
you
would
have to
also
run
be
something
extending
there.
up the hill.
I think that's a good project. I think it does a lot of unity for the continuity of like the aesthetic of the city, but wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hate to like put the money into like putting the lights there, then have
Tearing up the road.
coming through and having to change it because we're.
Well, it's in the right of way.
Gotcha.
So unless that's where they need a drive,
Right.
that the likeliness of them messing with the right of way is probably, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it could, but
It's not
it's
going to State Street, right? It's going up, to Fourth Avenue.
correct.
Which I think is pretty much set.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So the states, that from the bridge to the State Street won't be disturbed at all.
That's already done, we think.
that's not done with the fancy lights.
Right.
I didn't study the plans real closely, so I don't remember if the
This would be
plans
the
are
passion project.
from state to the bridge or if it starts at the bridge. I'm sorry. I could pull up the old CIP and look.
I was just something I thought about.
No, and it's a good point, especially with Simon's closing and all of that. And it might work out that it all aligns at the same time, maybe. I don't know how that will all play out, but it's gonna be a couple years before we get to that point with the lights.
Have we heard anything from Simons on what they're planning to do with the property, or are they liquidating? It's just this Simons, it closed, right?
The Simon's closed, they've moved down south or not in Michigan. We've been through it a couple times. They're working on auctioning off a bunch of stuff right now. I don't know, it's been a couple months since I've been in there. They were, great to work with on it, trying to get the building secure. I don't know if you've driven by lately, but they've got it boarded up nicely, which they were great to work with on that. We requested that and they did it. And then as far as what's gonna happen with it, no.
Sorry to interrupt. Could everyone make sure their microphones are close? Thanks.
So this year's CIP, let me get to it. We did a few things different this year than we have in the past. One is we took public comment we always take public comment in this process of the CIP, but we opened it up for public to provide input on things that they think the city should be looking at improving. With it being our first year, it was kind of a struggle to wrestle how we deal with those requests, cause there's not there's not typically a monetary value on the request from a citizen. So do we spend the time and resources to figure out the monetary value of some of the requests, and we don't know if it's gonna make the CIP, so we struggled with that a little bit. We'll probably be fine tuning that for a couple of years to see, how things work out. But we did look at them all. Some of them were on our list. Some of them were not. And some of them aren't necessarily CIP-ish, or we can, refer it to the Parks Board or the DDA to see what they thought. So this is our budget, or our anticipated budget for the CIP years through 2031, 2032. And the reason airport, DART, and library fund are all zeros is because they come out of the general usually. And then, I think Tim had asked why the DDA funding was at 75 this year and then dropped down to 50 for the next foreseeable future. And the reason was that our treasurer, the last couple of years we've spent more out of DDA funding, and our treasurer was being conservative over the future years on trying to build up some more in the bank for them, and then to try to either do bigger projects, after we get some momentum in building, or to get our fund balance a little bit higher. So that's why it's not because the tax value is going down or anything like that. Yeah.
Where does that bucket of money come from?
So the DDA is funded through a TIF district. And then there's also, they also pay extra in taxes in the downtown.
Okay.
And so that money goes directly back into the downtown, and it goes through the DDA.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So this is the list this year that we have on our projects funded. The airport hangar needs to be removed because we did do that last year, so I need to remove that before we send it to the final. Because that was in last year's budget, so we'll take that out. Clay sidewalk improvement is just something we do every year. We try to spend $25,000 on new sidewalks and $25,000 on repairs. Clay Cliffs Trail, the 40,000 is, we're doing 2 bridges with that project to make it ADA compliant, so that you can cross the Clay Cliffs, take out the existing bridge, make it more ADA accessible, and then add another bridge further down so it's a loop, because it's an ADA trail. And so I'm not sure we budgeted enough the first time around for it, so we're putting in a little bit more for a buffer. Hopefully we don't need it, but fire hose, North End Park Pavilion, so the pavilion doesn't have any parking lots or sidewalks next to it, so that's kind of just to finish up that project now that it's built. Community pool marsh site, I don't remember the total number, but it's like $275,000 to marsh site our pool. It's expensive, and it needs to be done every, I don't know, 15 years probably,
If you're lucky.
if we're lucky.
You're never that lucky.
At least the deep end, I think we probably maybe stretch it that long. The shallow end, you can't because kids start cutting their feet.
Can I ask a question?
So we're just trying to put some money away to do that.
So has the last year's money been encumbered in some fashion in the pool fund? Is there a pool fund? And then this would be added to that? Am I understanding that
That's,
correctly?
yep.
Okay.
Yep, so it has a budget line item as a project. So all of our CIP projects that get approved and get funded, get a project number, and then they can just carry it forward until we get to the project.
Thank you.
Yep. The day room at Public Safety is in need of new flooring, cupboard doors, countertops, and backsplash. It hasn't been updated since the building was built, and they're in there a lot. New digital aerial photos, so we haven't had new photos or aerial photos of the city since 2014. And so the assessor was requesting new aerials, and Ferris is interested in preliminary discussion with them of helping finance it. So, that one we thought would be a good project. Again, the decorative lighting of the Baldwin Street Bridge area. Like I said, this year we couldn't do the 100, so we just did the 50.
This is all the way to Catherine.
That's what they planned. I mean, I don't know.
Cool.
Police radios, that is not an option. It's a federal mandate coming down. So we don't have a choice on that one. And then the barriers for the downtown events, those are, I don't know if you go to the Christmas light parade, but the last 2 years we have had to rent barriers for the Christmas light parade, and the cost went up pretty significantly this year and probably will just continue to go up. We can buy them for the amount in the CIP to cover the area that we've been renting them for, and then we'd have them available for other events or to block off roads when we need to, because we do find when we try to like block off a road with cones or a parking lot with cones, because we're doing work that people just drive around them. And so there'll be other uses. Whether we need to use them for other parades, we'll kind of just probably play it by ear. But
That's the total purchase price though, the
Mhm.
62?
And do you, off the top of your head, do you know approximately, like last year's Christmas,
parade,
what that cost to rent those things?
oh, I probably did at one time.
Good question, Roy. Good question, Roy.
I remember us discussing this though
Yeah,
before, so.
and we were.
And the people like them. When
Yeah.
you're, like, I hear a lot of buzz about people appreciating those being there, so.
It is really nice. I know when I've been to that parade, like people just slowly continue to creep out, and when you're in those big vehicles, you can't always see everything right next to you. So
Is there adequate storage for those set aside or?
we'd store them at the garage. It didn't. We'd store them at the garage. The guys would store them for us there.
So did the library funding that we replaced, or they just didn't do because
It
went
didn't
to
make
something
budget.
else?
So the library funding, so how it works is we do a CIP, which is like, you ask for whatever you want. Then we try to narrow it down to what we think we can afford. So this list is like what we think we can afford. And then the next step after CIP is adopted is we start working on budgets. And by that time, we have a little bit more knowledge on what our revenue is. And so we can fine tune the budget a little bit more. So there are some times, and the library carpeting is one of them, that it's put into the CIP, but when we get down to numbers in the budget adoption, it doesn't make the budget cut list. And so that's what happened to the library carpet. It's not that we didn't do it because we didn't get to it. We didn't do it because we didn't budget for it, because there wasn't.
Oh, I thought last year it was budgeted, but the money was used for something else.
That was the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
The farmer's market parking lot we budgeted for, but then we used it for the parking lot by the theater instead.
Gotcha.
So this year, we're doing the parking lot for the farmer's market parking lot. Motor pool, a new truck for the garage, a new fire department truck, and a police car. Our guy who runs motor pool has he has a system, and he has an ongoing list of what vehicles he plans on replacing for the next so many years, and he rotating through them to make sure that we're on track and not having to buy like a significant number of new vehicles every year.
Does the city have an auction for all that old stuff that they get rid of?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, sometimes. It kind of depends. They do it a number of different ways. I don't know how they do it now, but lots of times the county building or the county road commission will have auctions, and we'll send, if we had cars, we would send them over there as part of it. With used car prices, I'm sure that they sold them outright and probably did pretty well, on a bid basis. In it all different ways.
DDA, so this is the farmer's market parking lot again. Local streets division, and then as part of the new housing development, we pledge to help do the infrastructure in that project. And so you'll see under local streets, water fund, and wastewater fund, the amount of money, the $166,000 that will be contributing to that project. Major streets, part of North Michigan Avenue is going to be resurfaced, a significant part. South Bronson, Colburn to Maple, and then the curve through Hanchett Drive, if everyone's familiar with that area. And then North 4th Avenue resurfaced from the Carpet Gallery all the way to North End Park. So.
Is that to the park or through the park? Or?
I think it's just to the park. I can't remember any bad areas once you get in the park. I think but there are some bad areas going to the park.
Yeah, my Jeep fell in one the other day.
Some more projects for the wastewater, the ferric pumps, and then the other two, storm sanitary water and resurfacing. So the sanitary portion of Division Street would come from the wastewater fund, and then the water fund would do some of that, as well as the local streets. Sorry, my brain quit for a second. Water fund, the garage has asked for an insertive valve project. So what insertive valves are is it allows us to shut water off in certain locations, and I'm not an expert in it, so that we don't have to have people boil water further down the line when we have a water break. And so they have some projects, or some, I think there's 5 or 6 that they want to buy that we have old insertive valves that they want to replace, so that they don't have to have issues further down. So that's kind of,
Are they stationary?
My question is it a contracted service that's coming in to put the valves in, which I'm assuming it is, but I don't know. That's how it seems to be the protocol. You call them up and they will do the project. And so do they have, is that what they're planning to do, contracted? Not
think
doing it
so.
themselves,
I
but
would assume so.
makes sense to do that. And it does, it's nice, it's a nice process, yeah, works well.
I assume you take this cluster and move it to a different location if you, is that how it works? You have a
No.
water main break up here, you can isolate some areas, but it's like a portable situation that could isolate another area at a different event?
No, it's a
No.
permanent.
What it is, I think they're trying to isolate different areas that, number one, they know they have a broken valve, so they want to fix that valve, so if a water main break happens, then they have a valve to shut.
Understood,
Yeah.
okay.
They can isolate an area.
Yeah, like right now, if we
We're
have a
isolating
break-
to replace, I got you.
if we have a break in one spot in town, they have to go to the closest valve around that break to shut it off.
Yeah.
And those valves are pretty far between right now, and they're trying to close that gap. So
Yeah.
it's less people are affected if that break happens, and they have to do the boil water.
And then I think there's some, like Tim said, there's some ones that are pretty old that are probably would fail if we tried to turn them. Public Works equipment, new metal locators and 1 new laser for when they're trying to find, the utilities. They're pretty old, they don't work, apparent, that's what they said. I don't use them, but I would assume they know, I know they're old, I did know that. Clean wells, jet clean, both well 1 and well 4, that's just routine maintenance that we do. I don't know how often they do, but I know they have like a schedule for when they do wells. Drain water towers, clean and inspect. That's the Ferris Water Tower and then the State Street Water Towers. That's also a routine maintenance thing they try to do every so often to make sure they stay in good condition. The Division Street was part of the local streets, I believe. And then, that's just the water portion for Division. And then a rate study for new water, to make sure our water rates are adequate to ensure that we're being able to fund water infrastructure in the future.
Any idea when we did one last? No.
A rate study, so the city's going to go out and determine that all the rest of the cities charge more for water, and then turn around and charge all the residents more for water because of the rate study?
So what they will do is they will assess the rates to ensure that they're high enough in order to make sure our infrastructure
Be
is
maintained?
being covered adequately for water infrastructure.
Question about the insertive valves. What's the lifespan on them? And then are they driven by technology and is it subscription based? Do we have a budget set to replace these in the next so years?
It's not a subscription base, I do know that. I know that when they talked about the ones they wanted to replace, I want to say that he said they were from like the 70s maybe. Let me see if I can find his product. Hold on.
Yeah, it was, I remember,
Insertive valve sounds a little hokey. Are these as?
Is it a shock pipe fitting?
Hold on.
no, they had a whole presentation at the city commission meeting. I remember watching it, I just don't remember all the details on it,
You
but they,
remember the lifespan of them?
I don't. But they did come in and they did they had this specialist and they had a whole kind of thing where they went over it. But I wouldn't be able to quote those numbers.
As long as, the key is to exercise the valves occasionally, so you know that they work. And I know last year, I think they bought a new valve exercising piece of equipment to help with that, so.
Tim, is that like a PM program that says they will exercise valves once every 6 months? Does this,
I think that's the goal.
Okay.
I don't know that they can do it. There's a number of valves out there. And I
Yeah.
think the state requires that kind of maintenance when they analyze the water system in total. That's part of the analytic.
Will this repair all of the valves? Bring them all up to date, or
I doubt it.
what
but-
percentage will we still have remaining?
That need to be repaired? I have no idea.
I guess there's 6 broken valves out there they want to get fixed.
Yeah.
Because they're,
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, there was that
But when
issue
you're
that
buying,
happened back here.
I don't know anything about inserted valves, but it says inserted valves, which makes you think you're retrofitting this inside an existing pipe and not cutting anything and actually installing or replacing a valve. Are we breaking a pipe, putting in a valve?
Yeah, they cut out a section of pipe from the top and then they insert the valve.
Okay, so they're like valve with pipe flanges, so it just goes in easier than replacing straight up the valve.
And they can do it without turning the water off,
And you don't have to get into the plate.
which is kind of cool.
Okay.
So those were the projects that we came up with. How it works, so if you go further in the CIP, you can see all of the projects that were requested by all of the departments. And you guys were asked to rank them, all department heads are asked to rank them, and then we also include like the wastewater superintendent, the street superintendent, the water superintendent, dial-a-ride, so that everyone who has more to do with the infrastructure is also involved. And then this year, I said we had made some changes to our process. One of the other process changes we made is we invited 2 city commissioners, because the city commissioners in our strategic plan asked to be more involved in the CIP process. So we take what all of the department heads, the plan commission, and average out their rank, and then we had a meeting with the city treasurer, the city manager. 2 city commissioners attended that meeting, and we tried to rifle through what projects we are going to fund and what projects we cannot fund or won't be able to fund or we don't necessarily think is important to fund. So that's how we come up with the list. You can see there what was chosen to be funded. And then we did not go through the list and because sometimes, so these are projects we think we'll probably be doing 27-28 budget year, but the list changes so significantly every year that we didn't go through and rank those projects with our administrative team. We just did it like as a department head planning commission rank. And then that list will probably be added to a lot by next year. And then same for, all the years following. The lists usually grow or shrink as you go because it's so far out, but at least we, have some idea of what projects people are thinking of coming forward with as we try to figure out budget stuff. So the new process this year allowed for public input on capital improvement ideas. And this is the list. They just had to fill out a sheet online or they could have turned one in person, but I think everyone did them online. This is the list that was submitted by the public. Some of them were evaluating, some of them, citywide to connect side streets, new sidewalks. That's like a long term. We can't fund that all at once, but like we do set aside a money, and maybe in the future we set aside more amount of money to do those kind of things. That kind of discussion, would come out of that. Some of it is not our property, so we can't do anything. So a lot of it,
A lot of pickleball passion.
a lot of pickleball passion right now. So we're also in the process of updating our park and rec plan, so that will probably be a good opportunity for us to be able to plan maybe more pickleball opportunities. As we obviously see that there was a lot of pickleball requests from the public.
I find it interesting that we still have community room out here. And like people are always looking for a community space, and I think the city has that within the library. But we see no funding for the library. And but I don't know that it's thought of as a community space really.
Yeah, and so some of them were too vague for us to know completely what they were talking about. Community space, so I think they're looking for like community space that's rentable. And so the library we have community space in there. There's programming in there. There are people who can like come in and use smaller spaces for meetings at the library. People do that. But I agree, I don't know if people actually think of the library as a community room because you can't rent it.
We've used the basement before, so I didn't know how that deal was struck, but
For,
our agency had a meeting in the basement that was public.
yeah,
And we had the space, we set everything up, and then public came into the meeting.
yeah, they would allow you to do something like that. Especially for nonprofits, they do that kind of stuff, but I don't, they're not gonna rent it out for a birthday party. Like, that's not something that they do.
Could they?
I don't know if
I know
it's,
it's not our decision to make, I'm just saying, I wonder if that's a, kind of a thing that we already have that the city is a part of that could function as a community space too.
yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I don't know if people view it that way.
Yeah.
And we get a request for community room or community space pretty often. So some of them, like the music in the downtown speaker system, the downtown has their own, they have the DDA, they have a board. We can send it to them to see if that's something they're interested in doing. If it is something they're behind and they would like to move forward, then, that's something staff would work on to get on next year's CIP if, there's support for it.
One thing that's on the list that did not make the CIP is, and it was listed as a 1 from Public Works, is ClearFlow Asset Software Program to track assets and have an active asset management plan, which seems like a fiscally responsible purchase.
So the reason it wasn't funded is we have ArcGIS and we have AutoCAD, and they're looking to see if there's something with the programs that we already have that we don't know about.
An extra module do it.
Yeah, or integrate into it. So, I think they're still working on that and they weren't quite ready to move forward with it.
Yep, that makes sense.
Any other questions?
Do you think you'll continue with the community input or leave it to budget process?
No, I liked it.
Okay.
Whenever you do community input on stuff, you always get ideas you don't think about, or because they're different from what your wheelhouse or what you enjoy doing. So I think it's nice to have, community input. Like one of them was the concrete planer to clean the expansion joints of the sidewalks where they interlap because, the person who submitted that one is in, has a mobility issue. I don't know where those locations are in the city. We already have a concrete planer, so that's a problem that we can solve. But if we wouldn't have done this process, we probably wouldn't have known about it. So and lots of them, the unfortunate thing is how the process works is lots of them probably won't be funded this year, but there are things we know to work on in the future.
As money becomes available.
As funds become available and hopefully doesn't increase costs.
Are you the one that put all this together?
Uh-huh. So if there's no questions, I need some type of formal motion so that it can be moved to the city commission.
Did we have a public hearing on it?
Kate, I guess, has to technically open it
Probably
to,
technically do that. And then-
Yeah.
and then I have one question after.
oh, okay.
We will open the public hearing. I want to do that. Okay. Go ahead. We have no public.
Well, I'll just wait till after. Are you close? Did you close it?
Do I close it now?
Yeah.
Close the public hearing.
The only thing I wonder about is again, what do we call them, the barriers. And I wondered why the barriers weren't taken out of the DDA fund, since it's a downtown, specifically for downtown. And then the pavement mill and fill for the parking lot, why would that be a general fund, public works kind of thing?
So we had the barriers under DDA
Okay.
funding, and there's not enough in the treasurer didn't feel comfortable taking it from DDA because of the fund balance.
Okay.
They've in the past
But it's less than the 75,000.
right, so we could make that switch.
I'm just saying if they need money, I mean,
That's a way to save.
that
They
was my only comment.
They regularly pay for paving of the downtown parking lots through the DDA. I do know that. I think they've done it the last 4 years.
That's my only comment. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a good job. I appreciate all the work.
Any more comments? Questions? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve that this move to the city commission?
Did you go with wording on that?
No, it'd be, I move to recommend approval of the CIP to 2025 to 2031 to the city commission.
2020.
Is this 26 to 30?
Or, yeah, sorry, I was reading last year's.
So I'll make that motion to recommend or pass the recommendation of the CIP from 2026 to 2032 to the city commission.
Seconded?
I'll second that motion.
And then roll call.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call.
Reddick?
Yeah.
Markowski?
Borowski. We'll get there. Yes.
You got it. Montgomery?
Yes.
McLeod?
Yes.
Stokes?
Yes.
Bow?
Yes.
All in favor?
Take that JCH and just cross it
Yeah,
out.
you just take Borowski. Just take it
I
out.
like practicing.
It's been like that my whole life. It's no problem.
Next on your agenda is just under states and the Michigan Enabling Act, Planning Enabling Act, we have to do an annual report for the year for the Planning Commission. This is your annual report. It goes over who is on the Planning Commission. It goes over, what meetings we had, what were the topics of the meetings. Some of it seems like forever ago and it wasn't. Zoning board, we also include, we don't have to include the zoning board because they're not part of the planning commission, but we include it anyways because it's through our department. So you can see what some of the topics were discussed for the zoning board. We did a lot of requests for variances to allow in the RP district to allow more residential units than the RP district currently allows. And the zoning board of appeals did it in a way that they could have, they approved all of them, I think. And they did it in a way that they can be they could have more units, but they were required to be single family units. So I think some of that shows a little bit of, we're in the process of updating our zoning ordinance right now, and I think that's an important take on the RP zoning district is we allow single family zoning in it or single family homes in it, or we allow business type uses in it. And maybe we probably, and we have been having some discussions of, well, the zoning board's getting all these requests, so obviously something's not working in that district.
Well, and really, when I talk to people around town, and as the Pillsbury house sits there vacant again, because it can't be split into college housing or Greek housing because of the RP zone, I think it makes us look bad, personally, like we're not actually really addressing the needs of the community because we're holding on to that place there saying, no, you really can't do anything with it except for a single family upstairs and a business downstairs.
Right.
And I struggle with that a lot, especially being a person who has a big old house here in Big Rapids. Just knowing what the cost is to run that house, whether you have renters in it or a single family in there, it's a lot of money. And I know that house has already been through a new buyer, through a property management company, through the Airbnb process, and they've just been shot down everywhere. But the house 2 doors up from it looks like it's got 8 units in it. And I just struggle with why.
Yeah, and I mean the RP district is it's uniquely situated too between our single family home and some of our R3 or our single family home and our commercial downtown district. And so I think that makes it a little bit harder to wrestle with on how do we want that area to be developed or be used. That was just one thing I noticed when Grant actually put this together, but that was one thing I noticed as I was reading through it. That stuck out was how many variances the zoning board got for single family homes. We also finished up our master plan in January. That's probably been talked about a lot with everyone, so I'm not gonna go through it. One of the nice things that Grant did was we put in the goals and opportunities from the master plan, and then we broke down how we could possibly be addressing them, or things that have happened in the community that does talk about or address some of the issues that were outlined in our zoning or in our master plan. I'm not reading through all of them, so if you have any questions on them, let me know.
I have a question.
Yep.
Maybe it's just, again, it's a comment. I was looking at the housing goal 3. I guess it's not. Housing goal 3, and the first, far right, it talks about staff attending training. Instead of using the first name,
Oh,
using.
rental inspector instead, code enforcement. That's probably a good catch. Thank you.
Yeah.
And he passed. He took it last week.
Oh, good. Oh, good to know. Yeah, that's great.
Any other questions?
Let me read just, I gotta make sure before I speak here.
Okay.
In housing goal 5.
Yep.
Review the zoning ordinance to ensure that the language allows for mixed use and mixed density residential development in appropriate locations in all neighborhoods across the city. I guess it's just reviewing across the city, not.
Yeah, making sure what we're
Okay.
doing is appropriate. Anything else?
Well, I guess maybe I have one more.
Okay.
Sorry. In community and economic development goal 2, use and promote third places. I don't know what third place I want.
So third places are like an area that is more of a public area for people to, like, it's not a school, it's not it's not necessarily like someone's house, but it's like this third space that is cost effective way to do training.
It's not a typo then.
No.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
And it's it's open and welcoming and that kind of space. The library would be like a third.
Okay.
It's not it is governmental, but it's not really governmental feeling.
The only other thing I wondered about when we got to the task sheet, you haven't gotten there yet, right? Maybe somebody else has a couple of comments, so I'll wait.
Anything else?
So the neighborhood and property maintenance strategy, that's a little more than halfway down. It says it's a low priority. My only comment is working with the zoning and we went to the zoning community work session. People are still talk a lot about enforcement. And so I just wonder if low is if I'm reading it correctly, if maybe it should be a higher than a low, just
It-
because of all the comments we have.
Yeah, we do get a lot of comments on it. That's how the master plan was adopted, was with it being marked as low. I don't know if that's really how we treat it,
Okay,
so
okay.
is that a fair
All
answer?
right. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep. If there's nothing else, you guys don't have to do an adoption of that or anything, it's just, I have to present it under the statute. Like a year ago, I think we talked about reviewing the bylaws and rules of procedure, so I, had our attorney look through them and do some edits and markups of them and go through and give us his opinion on how things were worded and what could be removed and what we should keep, and if there's anything that we don't have that should be added. And I know that the board wanted some comments in their rules about how quorums worked and how voting worked if there wasn't all 7 people available. And I thought that he added it, but now I can't find it.
Voting is on page 7.
Oh, so he probably did add it, and I.
Well, this might be.
It's in here.
Yes, I know, I saw it too. Voting shall ordinarily be by voice vote, provide however that a roll call sheet be required if directed by chairperson, except as otherwise stated by these bylaws in the zoning ordinance or by law, and affirmative vote of a majority of the planning commission members present and voting shall be required for the approval of any motion. So it was, Grant's right, it was on page 7. So it's those present, so that did get spelled out for you guys. Other changes, a lot of it was just removing some stuff that shouldn't be there and doing some reorganization and recording secretary information and things like that, or putting it in the statute requirements. If you look on page 5, under 5.7, agenda items, for an item to be considered at a regular meeting, it must be submitted to the city's office no later than the established policy for the city prior to the next scheduled planning commission meeting. So our zoning ordinance says right now you have to apply 30 days before a meeting. I think we might be changing that to 45 days. I'm required to do public notice 15 days before a meeting. So sometimes the 30-day to 15-day is a really quick turnaround for me to do public notice, but it's also a quick turnaround if it's a large project and then like Public Works needs to review it and the fire marshal needs to review it. So I think we might be changing that to 45 days. We haven't got there yet, but that's what I'm thinking. If you want, we can call it out in your rules and procedures, but it does get called out in our zoning ordinance. So it's up to you if you want to duplicate it. I'm not a fan of duplication because then when you change it somewhere, you have to remember everywhere you change, you have it. but if you want it in there, we could put it in there.
So you're suggesting when we rewrite the zoning, that we change it in the zoning ordinance?
Mm-hmm.
And then we should just, whatever that says, we ought to just leave it.
Okay.
I think anyway, that's just my,
I agree.
because it's really up to you. I mean, it's your workload. So,
It's, yeah, and I mean, if it's a summertime project that we get, like the guys are out in the field a lot, so it just, sometimes that 30 days is tight for us to turn everything around. And it's also very generous because most communities are 60 days. So I think 45 is pretty fair and pretty manageable for us.
Yeah, I feel like I remember that coming up a few times, where it's like, this one was a quick turnaround, and
Right.
yeah,
and that's never comfortable.
no. So
Right.
some more time on that would be good.
But then again, the state wants you to turn things around, you know, I mean, so you're kind of, you know, gotta be careful on your,
Yeah, 45 days is fairly reasonable,
Okay.
especially
Okay.
with, you know, our development process and our staff and the size of our community and the amount of projects we have going on. 45 days is reasonable, and it gives us enough time to do, I think, what we need to do.
is there a reason they left the number shall consist of, you know, 7 members now, right, correct?
Yes.
Is there a reason that was left blank?
Where are you at?
That's the very first page.
first,
Uh, Membership number 2, 2.1,
I think he just left it for us to fill in.
okay.
So we can fill that in. He might not have known because
Okay. Okay,
how it was spelled out in the law, but we can, or what our charter says, because that's dictated in our charter. So I can add that.
yeah, ask another question.
Always.
I'm confused about secretary, recording secretary, and I just, can you make it simple?
Let me.
It talks about the secretary or recording secretary, and it says the plan commission should select. I don't think that for the, it seems like that's usually, the recording secretary, usually a staff person.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow I think, you know, I think we have a secretary for the board. I don't know what that person does. But there's a lot of stuff in here that it seems like the staff does, and what, I'm just, it's
It's you'd like it clear?
Figure it out one way or another, I guess. I don't know that the staff really needs to be doing minutes and all that kind of thing.
You mean the
I
board?
mean, not staff, but the commission.
Yeah.
members.
I'll go through it, and clean up some of the
Okay.
secretary and recording secretary information or language.
Okay.
And maybe, so really, the reason you have 3 is in case your chair and vice chair aren't here, so maybe there's something else.
It's okay. It's okay to have the secretary, but you know, I would try to separate that. You know, the things that are done out here should be separated and not, we shouldn't make that decision. It doesn't seem to me that we should make that decision of who does it.
Right, okay, I can work on that.
I don't think that makes sense to you.
Yep.
My only, another suggestion to think about is, there's a lot of discussion about conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm,
I wondered if that should be part of the agenda.
oh, like add it?
Call it out in the beginning.
Does anyone have any, you know, when you have a,
A conflict of interest?
conflict, right up first with the agenda, there's so many public hearings, does anyone have a conflict of interest?
I could add that to the.
I think that's good. Somebody even called that out in the blue comments, like it should be noted before now. So I think I agree with that.
Okay, I can add that. I gotta find where the agenda is. Public.
Another thing I wonder about is when we talk about, this is on, let's see, what is it called? 5.8 B, no, C. Speaker must state their name and address. And it says must, doesn't say shall.
I
Do
struggle.
they really, they can say, I'm not gonna give it to you, and you probably have to hear them, don't you?
I think they have to state their name.
Well, I just wonder, that, maybe the attorney would know. I mean,
Okay.
That's the way it is for the city meetings too, and it always seems kind of weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I struggle with
what's
the,
that?
So for the city meetings too, if you're gonna speak as a public, they want you to stand and give your name and address at the podium. And it's because it's city matters, right? We wanna know that you live in the city, I think, but it seems kind of invasive.
I think that it's also this, in this community,
If you're
more
gonna
than
stand
half
up
don't
and
live, more than half of the city users don't live in the city.
That's-
That comment
that's the
is
point,
still
yeah.
relevant.
well, and we could, maybe, I can talk to Brad about language, cause I don't really care if they give me their address, but maybe they can say like they live in city or they live in the township or Green Township or,
Yeah,
like area location and not specific location type wording, cause I think that's really what we're after, right? We don't
You
care
wanna
if
know
you
what
live
your
at,
stake is.
yeah.
yeah.
You're-
Or are
if
you a
you're
city
speaking
resident
up.
or a city, I don't know
Yeah.
what, there's some word for city user
Yeah,
that
but we
makes
should
more
be-
sense.
We shouldn't ask that, I mean, that doesn't seem right either.
If it needs to, I don't know if there's a need to delineate, I agree, in this community, I think that,
You can ask them to say their name and address, and if they just refuse, well, then you just move on. Go ahead and.
I think that's what happens.
That's usually what happens.
Cause sometimes like when I'm watching the meetings back, you don't hear the address, right?
Right.
Cause they'll be of the public, they don't hear it, but at least we ask and we try to get that information, and if they don't give it, they don't give it.
The other way to handle it is ask them to sign in, and we can still ask them what their name is, but at least that's another option.
but as long as it's written here that they have to, I mean, the wording should reflect that we will move on if they don't.
I'll talk to
I
Brad.
think we have to hear them out. I mean, if they refuse, we just, go ahead.
Yeah.
You have 3 minutes. We'll
It's
listen.
better to say this is encouraged rather than must.
I think we just ask name and address for the recording. If they say no, then give us your.
Like it's
There's probably a
requested or,
reason
you
for it,
know,
though.
we
Just-
request
just
name
move
and
on.
address.
Give us your 3 minutes and we'll move on.
Yeah.
Be reasoning and like what is required in minutes or what's proper in minutes for public meetings. The only thing I can think of why you would require someone's name, address is invasive to me, but, I can ask Brad, I can tell him your
Just wondered about
concerns.
it,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, well,
wondered
like
that.
what's the necessary amount?
What's the necessary amount?
Or at least like, what street you live on. You don't have to, I don't need your address exactly, but
Street.
yeah, what street do you live on? Cause I think it's per stake. I think if this is a city board and we're asking city questions, are you a part of this city? And I think
And I
that's the
think that's
question.
unfair in this
What
community.
voting district?
Probably not.
So-
That again is,
Well, they could also just say, I don't live in the city, I own a business, and they could share that, but you're right. It's kind of weird, but I think there's gotta be a reason, cause in the city commission meetings, it's said every time.
yeah,
And
so
they,
I just wonder.
That's exactly why it was, but should it be and should it continue? I don't know.
That's something I can talk to Brad about. I don't know legally where it stands, but I'll have a conversation with him. He'll be here in 2 weeks. And I'll ask him how that
The change
works.
I like from what we're doing is that we don't ask people to talk pro or con, just talk to us. I like that, because it takes away a little barrier of people speaking.
Well,
Just
and
tell us, tell us what it is. And if there needs to be a rebuttal, then it's certainly allowed from the applicant.
Well, and I think it helps too. We've had a significant number of people, I feel like, in some of our meetings that they just have questions. They're not really for or against it, but
Right.
so then they don't know when to talk. because they're just like, well, I'm not really against it, but I do have some questions.
Yeah.
It's more inclusive that way, yeah.
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 I've always been concerned at the meetings, whenever people get up and we have a controversial issue going on, and they've got to state their address, that's like, whose house is getting egged tonight?
Well, and the meetings are online, and a lot of people just not comfortable sharing name and address still publicly, right?
And I think the only one last thing is on 7.7. You might want to remove the word township.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
I guess there's one more. It talks about draft minutes shall be completed within 8 working days of the meeting. Is that a zoning thing? Is that enough time? I just wondered.
There is case law, I
Okay.
think,
Okay, I just wondered how.
Reasonable amount.
about what's considered a reasonable amount of time. And good practice is to get them done as soon as you can, because most ordinances say that court, if the ZBA were to deny something and someone wants to appeal it, they have so many days after the creation of the minutes to
It's a little different situation.
appeal. So,
Judge and jury on the ZBA.
yeah, well, even plan commission to
It
appeal.
can be, yeah.
To appeal a plan commission decision, it's usually based on when minutes are completed. So it's just good practice to get them done. Anything else? No?
Should we talk about ex parte in the,
Is it not in there?
I don't know that know that it does, and it's a term that's not understood.
I can have him add that, that's a good,
I don't know if it's adding or just do a kind of a training for us on that term related to being a park commission, or a park, I'm saying,
I could have him come do a training with you guys.
those are important things.
They are, the
Conflict
experts,
of interest, people need to understand what it is, and then the ex parte thing is a little different for plan commission members than it is for city commissioners or.
it's very different for planning
And I
commission.
think it needs to be known.
Yeah, I can have him add that, and then I can
Should
also,
we throw out a definition real quick?
Real quick is, if you're on the plan commission and someone from the public comes and is coming to the plan commission on an issue, and they want to talk to you about it when you're not at the plan commission,
Okay.
that is not
appropriate.
appropriate. And you have to explain to them, because we are the people here. We're not the elected officials. If we were elected, that's probably something else. Then, that's, you're
Then it's
elected by the
politics,
people, and
and you can.
you're talking. The city commission is acting for you. We're acting for ourselves, and we're relying on what we hear from the public. That's why we have so many public hearings, it helps us make the decisions, so that's why and it's awkward when that happens. It takes practice. But anyway, that's the difference, if it makes sense.
Yes. I'm trying to see if it's in here. Anything else that people have concerns, questions, want in? No? All right, I will work with Brad on them and get them finalized, and next time we have a meeting, we'll bring it for you guys to vote on or look at again. We'll see how many changes there are. If there are a lot, then we'll look at it again. If not, we'll vote on it. The last thing on our agenda, I think, is just an update for the zoning ordinance. So we had our public open house to gather some more information about what people felt on different items, and we got it was kind of crappy that it was a terrible snow day, but we still had like 24, 25 people show up, so we had a decent amount. Lots of stickers were placed, and so the ordinance update committee has been meeting regularly every month. We don't have anything in draft form yet. We've gotten close, should be soon. We're getting ready to do focus groups, so we're gonna do 2 focus groups, one for the R1 district and one for the R3 district. And so what we're asking, we selected a variety of people to invite to each one, and what we're asking the R3 district will be like, we invited a lot of landlords to that district because that's what mostly is in the R3 district is what's stopping you from investing in your property or making improvements. Like, is it something in zoning that we need to be aware of? Why is the lack of investment happening? And then for the R1 district is more like, what kind of changes are you okay with? And what kind of changes are you not okay with, so that we can make sure that we're hearing people in those districts, because I think those districts are, you know, probably, I'm not sure we need to have a focus group on commercial. Like, there's only so much you can talk about commercial and zoning, but your residential districts are your big ones, so that's what we're gonna focus in on. Those are gonna be in early March. And then I think we'll probably start getting drafts for you guys to review pretty soon after that. Because I don't want to bring the whole ordinance to you at once.
Thank you.
Good idea.
My only, one question I have is that when we get the zoning ordinance in a printed form, will the consultants test it? In other words, you know, here's a situation, you know, is it working through smoothly? You know, some way of just testing it a little bit before we take it on the road.
We don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, here's some situations, let's see how it works in the new wording.
Run some scenarios
And
through
most
it.
of it's the same. Really,
Yeah.
there's a lot of just changes in because of laws and all those kinds of things, but a lot of it's the same, but some of it, you know, I just wonder if we should test it a little bit.
They probably won't do that. I can try to come up with some scenarios.
It's just something
No, I think it's a good idea, because and this happens a lot with new ordinances, and we wouldn't be unique in this situation, is you write something and you have an unintended
right.
consequence.
You don't get it all, but
Yeah, it's impossible. It's a 300-page document of rules. But I think we could run it, you know, I could take it through like some properties that I know are kind of unique, and if they wanted to do something, does this work for it, or what would it cause, or that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't have anything else unless anyone has any unscheduled business.
Adjourn.